So, hello everyone, and welcome to this Tech Ability webinar on Cosmo accessibility switches. I'm Neil Howard Beck. I'm Assisted Technology Projects Lead for Tech Ability, and we're joined today by Eva Bukowska, who's the Head of Marketing and Community. So, hi Eva. Any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat as we go along, and we'll have a bit of time at the end. So, Eva, over to you, and yeah, feel free to share your screen, and I'll stop my screen share. Thank you.
Thank you, Neil. Yeah, it's very good to be here. And yeah, so today I'll tell you about Cosmo, about those accessibility switches that are multifunctional, really good for education to support students with developing cognitive, physical, and communication skills. So our switches, they are traditional accessibility switches, so you can use them with a variety of third-party apps and devices, and they are super customizable. But you can also use them with our Cosmo activities, which are available through a free Cosmo training app, which is available for iPads. And the activities can be incorporated across the curriculum to, as I mentioned, support a variety of different skills. And just help students learn through fun and interactive sort of opportunities. So I'll show you how that works. Yeah, if you have any questions as we go, feel free to put them in the chat so we can either answer during the call, but we'll leave time towards the end for the Q&A as well. So there will be plenty of opportunities for that. Just to give you a little bit of my background, so yes, I work as the head of community and marketing at Cosmo, but my previous experience is working directly with students, with autistic students with social and emotional difficulties, either as a one-to-one tutor, but in special school and in charities as well. So that's what I bring to the company. And yeah, okay, cool. So I'm just going to share a quick image when I talk a little bit about the product, and then I will have two very quick videos for you. I usually don't do PowerPoint presentations, so it will just be videos from me. And can you see the picture that I've shared? Brilliant. Okay, good stuff. So just a little bit about the product. So, so what we make are those Cosmo switches. So they are very customizable, very interactive accessibility switches that are tactile. They are very sensitive to touch, making it very suitable for
Yes.
Thank you. Suitable for students with very limited physical mobility, but they have adjustable touch sensitivity, which is slightly different to other switches available in the market. So by adjustable sensitivity, I mean that you can decrease the touch sensitivity for each individual button. And for example, if you decrease the sensitivity to 50%, you will have to use twice as much strength to press the switch to get the same result within a game or your third-party device. To, for example, turn the volume up, you'll have to press twice as hard. So that's a feature that can be used in physiotherapy sessions, for example, or just making it accessible to as I said, users with different physical needs and preferences as well. The Cosmo switches, they light up in many different colors, as you can see here on the screen. They have adjustable brightness as well. I've mentioned sensitivity, and they are very durable and very robust. So we've worked with colleges, with schools that have used them for 5, 6, 7 years, and they are still using the sets they purchased back then. So they are very durable, making them able to last years. So even if you have students who will hit them harder, they get dropped on the floor, if they get squeezed, they are very unlikely to break. So good piece of technology. And they connect in 2 ways. So they connect either to third-party apps and devices, so they'll be customized. They will be compatible with Windows laptops, computers, MacBook, Chromebooks, Android phones, Android tablets, iPhones, iPads, and you'll be able to connect them with AAC apps, with Proloquo to Go, Grit, TD Snap, many other, with activities from Help Kids Learn software, with media players such as Spotify, Netflix, YouTube, and with any online games and activities. And the buttons you will be able to map out different characters from the keyboard onto the individual switches. So you'll be able to say, if you have 2 switches in front of you, I've got another one here, you will be able to tell this one that you would like it to be volume up, and you would like this one to be volume down. So you'll be able to press one to increase the volume and the other button to decrease the volume. And in a similar way, you will be able to connect them with online games, for example. So you'll have 4 switches in front of you, and you will be able to do arrow up to move the car forward, for example, arrow back, right and left. And I'll show you a video to demonstrate how that works as well. And you can connect them with our games and activities as well. And that's what I'm gonna do now, is to share a quick video which demonstrates some of the Cosmo activities so that it will be easier for you to imagine and to see how it works. And here, if you can just let me know as well if you can see Cosmo Activity Showcase. Brilliant. So all of the activities, we currently have 36 activities. They will have a bunch of different themes. So you'll have some music activities, you will have some activities to develop communication skills, memory and attention, physical skills, you'll have some cause and effect games, and you will have some maths games. So all of the activities, they have been designed with teachers and with therapists. So we've worked with over 200 teachers initially to develop some first activities, but then we continuously work with professionals right now to develop activities based on the community feedback and the needs of the students. And all of the activities that are designed around the principles of learning through play. So they have very simple instructions, and they aim to provide fun and interactive opportunities for students to develop skills and improve their individual educational outcomes. So I'm going to play the video, and I'm going to pause a couple of times to give you a little bit of more context around the activities. And then, as we said at the beginning, any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And I think Neil is monitoring it. Okay, so this is how it works. You press the buttons, we call them cosmoids, to either play music, to complete light sequences, for example, if you are working on memory and attention skills. So you either press the cosmoids to make sounds, to play music, or the cosmoids will light up in different colors to make you follow the light, so that you will be working on spatial awareness, physical coordination. So there are a couple of different ways that you can interact with those devices and with the activities. So in this activity called improvisation, you simply press the individual Cosmo devices, cosmoids, to play different musical notes. So if you press one cosmoid, that it will light up in purple and it will play sound G. And then if you press another cosmoid, it will light up in yellow and it will play sound E. So you can just press and listen to the sounds. For more advanced music making, you can try and create very simple music pieces. You can also import music from iTunes and Apple Music so that students can play the sounds on top of their favorite music tracks.
And now, Leo, dimasuk 해달래. 피아노
Okay, memory game is a memory game. So this is an example of cognitive training game where you will have a couple of cosmoids in front of you, and you can have 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on the individual abilities of the students that you work with. And here the cosmoids will be lighting up one by one. So you'll be able to see blue one lit up, and then green will light up. And then when the lights go off, your task is to watch and memorize and repeat the sequence. So you will press the one that lit up in blue and then the one that lit up in green. And then you will see and hear visual and auditory feedback to indicate that that was the correct response. So as I mentioned, there will be very simple instructions. So here you just have to watch the lights and you have to memorize the pattern. But then you will have certain customization features that will enable you to customize the activities to the individual needs of your students. So for example, you can choose how many buttons you want to play with. So you can play with 2 because 6 might be too much for student A. you can choose the length of the sequences. So you will have 3 difficulty levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. You can choose whether you want to play with sound or with no sound. You can choose how bright the buttons will be, depending on the visual abilities of the students. So our principle in those games is not to be prescriptive, so to provide very simple plug and play instructions, but then offer settings and customization that will actually enable you to play this activity with one student, another activity with another student, to make it customizable and adaptable to as many students as possible.
But where was Giant?
Where's the giant?
Okay, can you press now?
Where was the giant?
Storytelling is an interactive storytelling activity, really popular. Here you will be able to see text and images on the screen. And then as you read through the slides, different cosmites will be lighting up one by one on each slide, indicating that you have to press to hear the sound that matches what's happening in the story. So it's very rewarding cause and effect activity where you're working on communication skills as well, taking turns, waiting skills. You can connect iPads to a bigger TV screen so that the images are bigger and the sounds are louder for students. Put the blinds down in the room to make the activity more immersive. And here, I would just like to mention as well that in a lot of those clips, you will see younger students, and it's quite an old video, but we work with a lot of specialist colleges such as Henshaw's National Star, Barnet Southgate College, that have incorporated Cosmo across the curriculum. So if you'd like to learn more about that, then I will be obviously very happy to provide more details. But yeah, okay, continue.
Find orange.
Orange.
Ready,
One,
steady,
2, 3.
grab. Yay! Give me.
Okay, color matching, again, very simple principle. So your task is to find 2 cosmites that light up in the same color and then press them either one by one or 2 at the same time, which is a slightly more difficult option. So here, if you're working in a couple, then you can have the cosmites in front of you and you will have to spot the correct color, name the correct color, then you can count down 3, 2, 1, let's press. So you can see how many different skills you will be working on at the same time. If you play solo, then you can spread the cosmites further apart so that you will be able to work on reaching cross midline to the right, to the left, or increasing the range of movement so that you can incorporate that in occupational or physiotherapy. Or you can put the cosmites on the floor, you can mount them to the walls with magnets and Velcro pads as well, so that you will be able to work on sort of more maybe advanced physical activities where you will have to run around or move around and then press the cosmites all across the sports hall. For example, the Bluetooth range on the buttons is very wide, so that you can organize some more challenging physical activities as well.
Yeah.
Okay, orchestration is another musical activity, slightly easier, but very rewarding for students. Here, when you tap individual cosmites, they will start playing full-on musical instruments. So if you tap one, it will start playing violin loop. Sorry, if you tap another cosmite, it will light up in different color and it will start playing cello. And the more cosmites you tap, the more different instruments they will add to the orchestra so that you can create a musical piece together as well. You can have students sit in a circle, each of them will hold one cosmite, and one person, whether that be a teacher or another student, can act as the orchestra conductor. And then they will be pointing out to different students. For example, I would point at Neil. Now it's your turn to press your cosmite. So Neil would press and everyone would hear the instrument. And then I would point again to Neil, and then Neil would tap again the cosmite to stop playing that instrument. So it's a lot about taking turns, attention, skills, but all through fun. And music is a very strong element of Cosmo as well, because we know how engaging it is. Okay, here I would also like to mention that among those 36 activities, there is a very healthy balance of activities that require students to look at the screen and then screen-free activities as well. A core aspects of Cosmo is promoting social interaction among students and teachers. And we know that screens can be distracting very often. For students with visual impairments, it may not be possible to use screens, and it might be possible to use the big bright buttons instead. So, so we provide both opportunities. As you could see, the memory game, the the color matching, the music games, there's no screen needed. So you will just press play, put the iPad away, and then the students will be interacting with the Cosmites. But there are some screen-based activities such as Tap Dash. We've got some cause and effect games as well, where you tap the Cosmite and you can see different elements showing up on the screen. Or we have some number games which require screen, where you will have different number of sequences. So for example, 2, 3, 4, except that the 4 will be missing, so that you will have to identify which button to press to fill in the correct number. Okay, this is an example of a PE game. It's called Showdown. It's quite competitive. It doesn't have to be super competitive if you don't want it to be. Here, you are split into 2 teams. One team is, for example, yellow. The other team is blue. The teams play at the same time. You'll have 30 seconds or different times. And the task of Team Yellow is to run around and press all the Cosmites that light up in yellow, and the same task for Team Blue with the blue buttons. And then the more Cosmites you tap, the more points you get, and whichever team gets more points wins. So this one is super popular in colleges and some other movement activities as well. Here you can spread the Cosmites around in the sports hall. So it will be a lot of movement. As I said, you can attach the Cosmites to the wall so that students using wheelchairs as well will be able to reach to the wall, and they will not have to reach to the floor. You can have some Cosmites on the table as well. So there are a lot of different settings to enable mixed ability play and activities. And another example of a communication game, here students can record voices, sounds, whatever they'd like using the iPad speaker. And then as they press the Cosmites one by one, the Cosmites will play those recording back with special voice effects on top. There's a different activity that doesn't add any special effects, just different options for different people. So in that, the other activity, you can record up to 6 different words or short phrases, so that when you press the individual Cosmites, you will be able to learn sentence formation, for example, or story formation. So if you imagine, if you have multiple switches in front of you, if you press one, that will say I, then this one want to go somewhere. So that you can press the Cosmites, listen to the different words, and then try and assemble Cosmites physically to play the correct sequence. Or you can use that to learn number sequences or help students with choice expression as well. And those are some of the activities in the app. As I mentioned, there is much more in the app. And I would like to show you one more quick video which demonstrates the use of Cosmo with third-party apps, and then we will have time for the Q&A, and I will mention how you can try Cosmo as well at your organizations. And I believe you can see my screen now. Okay, so here you can see Cosmo devices connected with, this is a racing game called Rocket League, and it's being played on a Windows laptop, I believe. And here you will have 5 Cosmo devices. So you'll have 2 on the floor, which you'll see in a second as well, which are connected, each of them as a separate Bluetooth device to Windows laptop. And each of the Cosmo devices allows you to perform different function within the game. So you'll have the yellow button, which moves the car left, the green button, which moves the car right. Then the two buttons on the floor, they allow you to brake and accelerate the car. And then blue is jump, maybe, I can't remember. But depending on the system that you would like to use, for example, if you'd like to use AC apps such as Grid or Proloquo to go, you can either use one Cosmo switch to with screen scanning. So you would just set it as enter, and then the grid will be going across the screen, and you will tap one Cosmoid if you'd like it to stop on the chosen symbol. Or you can have two devices connected with Proloquo to go, for example. One would act as a space bar, the other one would act as enter key. And then you will use one to switch between the different symbols on the screen, and then the other button as enter. And you can customize Cosmoids as accessibility switches using a different app that we have. It's called Cosmo Switch Setup. It doesn't have any activities, any games. It is simply a settings hub where you can customize each individual device. For example, as spacebar, you can select color, brightness of the button, touch sensitivity, and then a bunch of other settings. And then you connect it as an external Bluetooth device to your chosen device. As I said, whether that's Windows, MacBook, Chromebook, iPhone, Android, anything. And yes, okay, so this is it from me. I hope that demonstrates what the product can do. We do organize free trials for organizations. So you can try Cosmo for a couple of weeks with your students. This is a free trial, so we send a set of 6 buttons to you. You get access to all 36 activities. And obviously you can try Cosmo as a switch with third-party apps as well. So there is no cost involved. Unless you decide to return the devices to us, then you just cover shipping cost. But if you decide to keep the devices with you, then there's, well, obviously the product cost, but you don't pay for the shipping back. So yeah, I will leave some links in the chat with more information from our website and the trial and my email address so that you can get in touch with me. And I'm very happy to answer questions right now.
Okay, thanks, Eva. That's really interesting. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask away.
Yeah, it's just regarding, so I work at a specialist college, and it's obviously working with adults. So I was just wondering, you said that you could provide us some more information about the adults using the Cosmo switches. Obviously to try and support, if I was to put a project forward, obviously I'd need to be able to show some evidence to be able to back that up.
Sure. Yeah, I can talk a little bit about that. So, so as I mentioned, we've worked with a couple of specialist colleges, but that we work with adult therapy centers as well and care homes. So some colleges that we work with are Henshaw's National Star, Barnet Southgate College, and they use Cosmo to support either lessons, or they use Cosmo to support therapy sessions as well. So really across the board. So yeah, so they've really incorporated Cosmo, I would say, across the curriculum. So National Star College, they recently used Cosmo to support Sports Day. So they used our physical activities like Showdown, but then we've got plenty more to help students engage and take part in Sports Day and work on motor coordination, spatial awareness, reaction time, touch force as well. With Barnet Southgate College, we did a visit recently and we played with a couple of classes. So we played with students with profound and multiple learning disabilities, and they were engaging with our cause and effect games, where you can, for example, tap one button and it will start playing music, or you tap the Cosmoid and you will be able to see fireworks being shot in the air on the screen. So you get visual and auditory feedback. We connected the iPads to a bigger TV screen as well, so that all students could see and hear very clearly what was happening. With some other students, we organized some focus games and communication. So we did a session in a class with 6 autistic students, and they were playing the color matching game. So that was the one where your task is to find 2 cosmoids that light up in the same color and press at the same time. So they were sitting in a by their desks, and each of the students was holding 1 cosmoid, and then they had to look around the class to see which other student had the same color and then press. So, and then in terms of the therapy settings, we work with an organization, for example, called Therapy Gyms, and they organized accessible, their mission is to facilitate accessible fitness for adults with special needs and disabilities. But they do like the big chunk of physiotherapy as well. So what I will do as well is that I'll share a link to our Instagram channel where you can see some examples from them. So I hope that helps a little bit. I think
that does.
the trial is a really good way for you to see how it works yourself, because obviously there are so many different needs out there and so many students. And I mentioned that this is very important for us to not be prescriptive, but to actually give you a chance to just try and tell us what you think.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for
It'd be great to set up a trial.
Brilliant.
So if it's Eva, are you okay to stay on and ask some more questions? Answer some more questions.
I'm very
I'm going to draw the end of the recorded section to an end, but people can stay on and ask some more questions if they want. So yeah, just to say thank you so much for being our guest. If anyone is watching and wants to know more about this or other emails that we can run, email us techability@natspec.org.uk. Contact us on X or Twitter @tech_ability1. Make sure you sign up to our newsletter as well, so you can hear about all the upcoming events. So thank you, Eva.
Thank you very much.